And I will spotlight you now. All right. Thank you so much once again, everyone, for coming up today. I've been looking forward to this. I love anything that has a topic of empowerment in it. I just want to hear, I just want to listen. And Miss Faith, thank you so much for making time for us. It's such a pleasure and a great, great honor to have a busy lady like you. You wear so many hats, and I know that programmatically you're so busy, but I really appreciate you making time for us and coming here today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Dama.
No problem. So I will give a quick introduction about Miss Faith. So Faith Adams Mapemba is a dynamic development practitioner and gender activist, women and girls advocate, and a feminist. I love that part most. And she has extensive experience in development work, particularly in grant and partner management, resource mobilization, project designing on gender, justice, sexual and reproductive health rights, girls and women empowerment programs. And she's currently the programs officer in the GBV department at the Norwegian Church Aid, Dan Church Aid Joint Country Program. Thank you so much, Faith, for joining us. And I remember that when we were talking at the very initial conversations about this webinar, you said a lot about the work that you do and the importance of, ensuring that we are advancing gender-based violence policies and advocacy work, and also making sure that we're empowering women and girls in the country, because, I mean, we just have to. There is so much going on around, and I think we don't have to justify why we have to empower women and girls. I think it's common knowledge to every one of us why we're doing what we do. And so I'm really excited to hear from you. I know that the introduction that we have here is about you and the work that we do, but I think the first question that I want, or that my curiosity, is to know you as a person. Who are you at the core besides your work? So I'll hand it over to you and I will listen.
Beautiful. Faith Adams is a woman, a mother, a very women rights advocate. In introducing me, perhaps would be that I'm also a board member for a Pan-African organization called For Equality, which also advances women's rights. So basically, I'm a wife, a mother, and pretty much an advocate of women and girls' rights.
Thank you so much for that. And today the topic is empowering women and girls, and I'm sure that this will touch the work that you do at the Norwegian Church, but also maybe your passion as an individual. I want you to share your journey in terms of your career. How did you come to be a gender-based violence programmer, activist, a feminist, and what does that mean? Especially I want to know about the feminist part. A lot of times when people say you are a feminist, they don't really mean well. I've been called a feminist in so many ways, in a negative way, by my family, the people that surround me. And sometimes I tend to question I sometimes tend to ask people to say, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? So I want to hear from you.
Basically, let me start from my primary education. So while in primary school, I did my primary school at a government primary school, Zingonga Primary School in Atlanta. While at school, I was introduced to a club called Young Voices. So it is there where my passion for issues of girls' rights started to blossom. And then I became a member of also Branda Young Voices back in the days. And then after secondary school, from Jamba Secondary School, I joined, I went to Poly Management Center where I did my diploma in business management. From there,
I think
Faith, still in business management.
Faith, we're having a little
However,
challenge with your connection. If you don't mind, just turn on your video. Maybe the quality will improve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I turn off my video, that's okay, right?
Yeah, that's okay. We just want to hear you, and we want to make sure that the quality of your video is better. I'll turn off mine as well. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so as I was saying, I was first introduced to issues of girls' rights when I was in primary school, at Nova Primary School, under the Young Voices Club. And then in secondary school, I continued with the Young Voices Club up until when I was doing my diploma in business administration at Polytechnic under the Management Development Center. Then from there, I got a job with YouthNet and Counseling, UNESCO. While at UNESCO, I was introduced to protection. They were doing youth empowerment, but also there were some programs that touched on girls' rights and women's rights. So as we're advancing those, I found myself more interested in the gender and development aspects. That made me to implement more of programs that are leaning on gender and women empowerment. I represented the organization then in a number of platforms, both local and regional, advancing gender issues. When I left UNESCO, I joined the Kadria Muslim Association of Malawi under their development programs, where I was also responsible for gender programs, specifically touching on sexual reproductive health. They had a project that was targeting the faith-based community. While there, that I realized that there are a lot of gender issues that are at play, especially in the faith-based communities. So while there, I enrolled for a master's degree on gender and development studies, inspired by what I was doing at the moment. Yeah, so after Kadria Muslim Association of Malawi, I joined the Girls Empowerment Network. I think that's where I grew more in terms of girls and women empowerment programming. I served at Girls Empowerment Network as a safeguarding lead, but also I served as a monitoring and evaluation coordinator. After working for Girls Empowerment Network for about 5 years, that's when I joined the Norwegian Church Aid as a program officer under the GBV program. So that's where I'm at now, joint country program as a gender program officer. So yeah, you also touched on the issue of feminism. I think for me to become a feminist, it has come based on the experiences that I've had as a woman, but also as someone who has been championing gender programming throughout my career. So I was trained as a feminist under Girls Empowerment Network, but also in my studies at master's level, it kind of just cemented everything that I had learned through my experience, but also through the training that I got under Girls Empowerment Network. So from my perspective, feminism is the belief of equality of sexes. So if you're a person who believes that a man and a woman are equal, and they deserve equal opportunities in life. Then there's a lot that people say about feminists, but perhaps it is because they are unaware of what feminism entails. People have different understandings, and they also kind of rebel certain individuals because of their life experiences. Yeah, but basically that's my understanding of feminism, and that's a brief background of where I'm coming from and where I'm at now.
Thank you so much, Faith. So I really, really appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing your academic journey with us, because I know that one of the things that we are doing in these webinars is really to share it with each other, tips on how to be successful in our career. As you may be aware, the theme for this year, we are really talking about inclusion in regards to, wealth inclusion, financial empowerment. And I know that it's not always that people will end up having, their personal businesses and stuff. Some of us will build our worth through our career journey. And so it's so important for us to learn how others did it and how people have been successful in their journeys, especially building their careers. So when we discussed about this webinar, you chose the theme of empowering young women through leadership and advocacy. I think that's what the topic is. I want you to share a little bit more with us in terms of what does that mean? What were you thinking about when you said that?
Sorry, can you come again? I kind of did not get the question.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Let me know if you can hear me. Okay, perfect. So I was saying that when we talked initially on the topic of your presentation today, you chose the topic empowering women for economic growth. And I wanted to know, what were you thinking about that? What were your perspectives around, what are your perspectives around empowering women for economic growth?
In my career, I think I have dealt a lot with issues of gender-based violence. And in my experience, issues of gender-based violence come at play where there is unequal power relations. So I have come to find out that poverty is one of the reasons that would put a man at an advantage and a woman at a disadvantage. So for me, economic empowerment for women is the key for women to get out of gender-based violence. A woman who is empowered economically is less vulnerable. The vulnerability is there, yes, but they are less vulnerable and they can be able to stand on their own and get out of situations or environments that are not serving them right. So for me, economic empowerment is very key because it empowers the woman to be able to situations that will put them in a vulnerable state. That's why I prefer to speak a bit on women's economic empowerment.
Great. I think I totally agree with you that empowerment is the way to go. And when we talk about empowerment and really supporting or encouraging women to have their own money, to have their own resources, it's a way of mitigating a lot of violence that is happening out there in the families, at work, in the workplace, and many other forms of violence in our community. So share with us the work that you do in regards to women empowerment.
Thank you. So I'll speak more on the work that we are doing under the Joint Country Program, Norwegian Church and Danish Church. So through the Norwegian Church partners to ensure that we promote women's economic empowerment through village savings and loans associations. So across our thematic areas, we are encouraging beneficiaries of projects to be able to save, and then they can lend each other and use that money for small-scale businesses to sustain their livelihood. So we encourage the women in the communities that we're working in to be part of these BSLs. But we have also done cash transfers to women survivors of violence. This specifically in Chisi, we have worked with the Women's Legal Resource Center to champion this initiative, and we have seen it bearing fruit. Women from these groups are able to get a 300,000 kwaja, which is an amount that enables them to venture into businesses in their communities and be able to back in their savings, and other people can also borrow. So it's a kind of a pass-on approach. We have also done vocational skills development for survivors of violence. That's across the districts that we are implementing in. We are in 13 districts in Malawi. So these vocational skills range from motorbike mechanics. We have women that are doing that. We have women that are doing tailoring and other trades. So we make sure that we allow the women survivors of violence to be able to pick what would work for them based on the community that they are based. So we engage institutions like TVETA through our partners to train these survivors of violence for them to be able to run that trade and sustain their families. Another aspect of empowerment that we have, so we train young women in the targeted communities to also understand how the political system works and build their leadership potential for them to be able to contest in political positions. We are proud that, like in Chisi, we have young women that have already started showing interest to contest during the next elections. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're doing. In Norwegian Church-led, Dani Church-led Joint Country Program, we have 3 thematic areas. We have the GBV thematic area, where I come from. We have the climate smart economic empowerment, and also the fighting inequalities. So under the climate smart economic empowerment, we have also worked, or we are working with women farmers on innovations such as micro drip irrigation, greenhouses for high production. And some are also doing beekeeping. As after they produce their products, they have ready markets. So we have a partnership with Tantwe and Kwitu Kitchens, Tantwe Farms and Kwitu Kitchens, which are also women-led private sector organizations or companies who buy from our women farmers, and then they do the value addition and sell to the wider market. Yeah, so our approach has also been through the faith-based approach. I think I already mentioned something like that. I touched on that. We work with faith institutions, religious mother bodies, because in our experience, we have seen that the church are mostly sidelined when it comes to development projects. So that is our niche as Norwegian Church-led, Dani Church-led. We work with the religious mother bodies and get down to the grassroots churches, then those churches in targeting them in our programming. Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Faith, for that comprehensive sharing of your programming. Now, I want to shift the conversation to you as a
Yes.
person and as a woman. Um, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered in your personal growth journey in your career and just in life in general as a woman? And also maybe you can share how you have overcome those challenges.
Okay. I think the biggest challenge has been being looked down as a woman. The work express or the advocacy when I was joining the civil society space in 2008. I was young, I was a girl, and in spaces where I was supposed to stand as a leader, you'd find that people look down on you, people would judge you, people would think you could not amount to much. So for me, that was pretty much the challenge. But also, I saw it as an opportunity to prove myself, which shouldn't be the case. I mean, women should not be proving themselves now and again in life, but that was me. And I think that's what made me work hard and prove to these people that yes, girls can, women can.
Right. There's a little lag there. But thank you so much, Faith. And I want to open up to our to our audience. And if there's anyone with a question for Faith today. I know that we're having network challenges and I think it's countrywide. So my apologies for that. But if you can still hear me, I want us to, I'm just opening up. If you have a question for Miss Faith, just unmute and feel free to ask your question. I think Faith was kicked out for some reason. Okay. Let's wait. Okay, she's back. She's back. Faith, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I know that we're having internet challenges, but we'll keep going. So I was just saying, I don't know if you heard that part, but I was just saying if any of our participants have a question for you, we can open it up for any questions and discussion. Okay, maybe while people are thinking, I wanted to ask you another question in terms of you know, you building your career, but also juggling other things else in your personal life. How do you make sure that you're still successful at work and still successful at home?
I think there's no specific formula to that, but I would say finding a balance. Finding a balance is always good. When I'm at work, I focus on what I need to do as a professional woman. I need to deliver. At all costs, I need to deliver to the best of my ability. So I make sure that when I plan very well. When I'm at work, I'm able to do what I need to do at work. And when I'm at home, I should also be available to my children, to my husband. So I've always planned to make sure that there's a separation between my work life and my private life at home. That has helped me a lot, but also having an understanding spouse, maybe because he's also in the same. . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . . 。 . . . . . 。 . . . . 。 . . 。 . . . 。 . . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 .
.
space, in the civil society space, what I'm required to do as a professor, he also understands there are times I need to be in the field to supervise the work that I'm supposed to supervise under my organization. So there are all those things that have helped me to keep the balance. Yeah, I think good planning is the most important thing. If you plan, you're able to separate your work life and your private life. And I'm also a student, so as a student, I'm also balancing with that. So there's school, work, and family that all needs to fit into my life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And now that you've mentioned that you're doing school, what are you studying?
I'm still studying for my master's in gender development studies.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I'm doing.
Awesome. There is a question from Memory Nyondo in the chat, and Memory says, have you been bullied at school? And I will add even at work, because I think the bullies that we meet in school, they grow up and mature to become leaders and to become workmates and colleagues in the work environment. Sometimes things never change. Have you experienced bullying in your life, and how did you handle that? And if you haven't, maybe you can just share your thoughts around bullying, especially in the work environment. How do you look at that? Because we have experienced and we've had issues where a lot of women are being bullied just because they are women.
I have my own experience with bullying, and for me, I think such situations make me to stand up for myself. I'm not the kind of person who would be bullied and would go and start lying. So once someone is bullying me, I stand up to them. I speak for myself, and I know in that I also speak for others. So I make sure that I communicate to this person bullying. So yeah, I've had that experience before. And I think for me, that also made me want to work for a women's organization, because in my previous life, I had worked with organizations that were led by men. And I thought the bullying was coming because these were men. So I told myself that, you know what, I want to have a different experience. So I got a job with Girls Empowerment Network, and I was like, yeah, I'm happy now. I'll be working in a space where it's a women-only space. So yes, it was comfortable. It was nice when it lasted, but I realized that if I was to run away from the challenges, the bullying, then I would never grow. So I took my chances and went out there and decided to look for jobs in big organizations where I should be able to contribute to the development of that organization. But also the communities to empower other young people. So I took that chance, and here I am. Yeah, so bullying is everywhere. Sometimes we're even bullied by our fellow women, but we just have to stand up for ourselves, speak up, and we change things by speaking up. Silence has never helped anyone.
Yeah, Faith, I want you to break down standing up for yourself. Because sometimes, I've seen people who have gotten in trouble for standing up for themselves, quote unquote. So in your context, what does standing up for yourself mean? And we also have some questions in the chat, but I'll read them after you've answered this question.
Standing up for myself would mean calling the person out. If someone is bullying me, I'll call them out. That what they're doing is bullying, and I will not take that nicely. I let them know that I know my rights and I know the reporting instruct. I'm going to report them to the superiors because I know what they're doing is wrong, and I make sure that what I say I'll do, I do, so that these people should change. There are circumstances where people would come and say, you know what, that was just a misunderstanding. I shouldn't have done that and all that. Yeah, depending on the level of issue that has happened, I'll let it slide. But in most cases, I make sure that I report such cases. Because in reporting, I'm not only solving that issue for myself, but I'm also solving it for other people. So yeah, speaking out, calling them out, that has always worked for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to add something to that, you know, sometimes as women, we endure so much. We endure so much and we justify certain behaviors in the work environment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's very important for us to isolate or to identify what bullying is and what is not. Some of the things that I would share in terms of like how you identify it's bullying. The first thing is that it's consistent. It's
Exactly.
consistent.
Just
So
because they're a woman. No.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, for example, people can be gossiping about you or spreading rumors about a certain employee, and it keeps going on and on. Purposely being ignored or being excluded in certain activities. So you see that everyone is being involved but you, when it's a specific leader leading a certain task and they'll include everyone else but you end up being, you know, not in the know of what is going on in the work environment consistently, just because, not because you're not aware, but just because people are hiding information or are keeping information from you. And sometimes it also comes in terms of being given, you know, like overwhelming or impossible deadlines just to set you up so that you fail, and it's consistent. A lot of people do that. Stalking or invading your privacy, making offensive or inappropriate jokes or statements around you. What are some of the things, Faith, that you would share to help us identify bullying?
So Togo, you've touched on you've touched on situations where you are left out on an assignment that you should be a part of. So everyone has been involved in something and you're not there. For me, I'm the kind of person that will not just sit and say, oh, I'm not involved. I knock on doors if I feel I deserve to be there. If I deserve to sit at that table, I'll make sure I sit at that table. So if I've been left out, I'll go and ask why I've been left out. And I'll also propose that I should be part of the team because I believe I have what it takes to be there. I believe I can deliver. So I always reach out and say, you know what? I think I should be part of this. I think I should be part of this. And this is the value that I'm going to add if I'm included on this team. That has always been me. Office gossip.
Yeah.
Having worked.
Go ahead, Faith. I was just saying that's a big one.
Having worked in a women pretty much enough experience with office gossip, even among girls, among ladies only. And I think it's something that is in every workplace. But my idea of handling such is distancing yourself from it. So if someone comes to me and says, Faith, this person ABCD was saying ABC about this person, what I'll normally do is just to say, have you approached the person? Because I do not have the answers. If you think this person is behaving in this way, then they have the best answer to that. They can explain to you why they're doing that. So I make sure that I leave it open for someone to be able to speak to the person that they have issues with without me being at the center of it or encouraging it. Yeah, I've had situations where I've like said, you know what? Let's wait for the other person to come and then you can. And you start listening on and encouraging it and telling other people, it becomes now a wildfire. So you bring in a lot of problems, you bring conflicts. Instead of being a leader, you become the problem. So you bring chaos in the work environment, which is not good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the other question is, how do you handle pressure at work, being a leader? how do you deal with 3 urgent and important work schedules, and how do you deal with 3 urgent and important work schedule? How you do? Okay, Memory, I want you to unmute and explain more on that question because it comes from you. But Faith, the other question is, how do you handle pressure at work, being a leader? So Memory, do you mind elaborating on the other question? Just unmute and if you can.
I mean, pressure is everywhere. It's in everywhere.
Faith, wait a little bit so that Memory can also just ask the other question. There's 2 questions.
I was joking with my colleagues. The other day, saying, you know what, when we're doing interviews, we shouldn't say that we work well under pressure. Because that time I had a report and I had 2 other assignments. Yeah, but I think for me, planning is the best thing. Planning helps a lot. If you plan your work well, you should be able to handle everything in time. For instance, if you have a report, I have a report that is due in April, but I'm already working on it now. That helps me to ease the pressure as the deadline approaches. So I make sure that I plan very well. I use a planner to sort of allocate the activities that I have, the deadlines that I have on the allocated dates. So I make sure that I do them in time. In situations where I am not able to do things as expected, time, that it will be difficult for me to complete task A because I also have this going on. So that we are on the same page. If they're okay with that, then I take my time working on the assignment. Because for me, it's not just about completing tasks, it's also about delivering quality work. I know I'm employed to deliver, so I make sure I deliver and I deliver my best. So planning is the best thing that has helped me. I use the planner for my personal things, but also for my work. That helps. So maybe Memory can come in with the clarification on her question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much to all and Faith. I'm so delighted to be here and being helped. And I'm glad the way you have tackled the question about being bullied. Thank you very much. Okay, so my question, I think it was just kind of an error on how it was asked. But actually, my question was, sometimes you have 3 urgent work, like you need to report maybe 3 things at maybe the same time, or you have to work the same. You have 3 important, I don't know how I can put it, important work out list that you have to deal with, and you have to report maybe the same week, like all these things they want you to do, they want you to report the same day or the same, maybe the next day. So in that scenario, how would you do with it? They're all important, they're all urgent.
Okay, so no matter how important all of them can be, I rank them based on the handling such assignments is to break them down. So you can have 3 key assignments that you're supposed to deliver, but when you break them down, it makes work easy. So I'll look at firstly, which one needs to be prioritized. Secondly, I'll look at how I can break down the tasks. And in a situation where I know I cannot, no matter how much I try, I don't have enough time to complete all of them in good time, I delegate. The beauty of my work is that I work in a team. The gender department is a team, we have a team. So if I cannot do an assignment in time, I make sure that I delegate to my colleague who can handle it for me. So that also helps. But if I have enough time, I make sure that I plan to prioritize the assignment that needs to go first, and then the second agent one, and then the other one. So in that case, I'm able to handle all three assignments and deliver on time.
Yeah, Faith, I just wanted to add to memory that Simon Sinek and Vusi Tembakwayo, they share a matrix of urgent, important, not urgent, and not important, which helps you really like clarify things, because sometimes we think things are urgent, but really it's just our brain playing tricks on us. Sometimes it's just the pressure that we have from our environment or from our colleagues or bosses that make a like a task look like it's urgent, but really it's not. Maybe it's just an important task, but it's not urgent. And so it's very, very important to be clear on what does urgency means and what does important mean to you and your work. And like Faith shared, that it's very important to realize that you work in a team. And also sometimes it's an issue of self-advocacy, that you go to your supervisor to say, look, there's all these competing priorities. I'm overwhelmed as a person. I want you to tell me. I've had a lot of situations where I had to go to my supervisor, because sometimes that happens. Yeah, sometimes it's because of I had a micromanager who was my supervisor. She was a Filipino woman. That woman tormented me like no business. So what I used to do then is throwing things back at her, because she'll give me tasks. I have my job description and the projects that I'm advancing, I'm working on, and she knows that it's reporting period. I'm doing finances, I'm doing this and that, and she knows that because she has my calendar, right? But on top of that, she'll be throwing things at me left, right, and center. She will call me even at home after work and to say, oh, Togo, I didn't receive this. Oh, I want you to do this. I'm like, woman, no, this is my problem. So what I used to do was to go back to her to say, I'm working on this and this, and you're expecting me to do this and this. I want you to choose from this list what's a priority for you, because I can't do all of it at once. And I keep quiet. When you do that, it makes them realize that they're overwhelming you and they step back. Because sometimes it's just them making you feel like everything is important, everything is urgent, and you feel so overwhelmed.
Exactly, yeah. That works all the time.
Yeah. So memory, look that up. Even if you Google urgent versus important tasks matrix, you'll find it on Google, I'm sure, because it's a very common matrix that I love. Let's go to the next questions. And this one comes from Tamiwaka Ngulu. I apologize if I'm butchering your name, but she says, do you think the methods you're doing are enough to help women be at equal with men? And what would you recommend to be done more? That's a very important question. Faith.
Thank you. I think this question is in line with what I shared about what we're doing at Norwegian Cheche, Dani Cheche, and the country program. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the approaches that we're using targeting women, I think they are not enough, but they are working at the moment. Yes, we want to do more. Resources allowing, we want to do more. We want to find more local partners to do more work on solutions that would work. The other thing about our organization is that it's a learning thing. We make sure there are lessons that are drawn from me. So yeah, we are open to learning on what more we can do that is within our strategic plan. But at the same time, I just also wanted to bring to your attention that the programming that we're doing that are targeting women are informed by the issue of inequality that is out there. So we are sort of using an approach where we want to level the space. Women have been behind, women and girls have been behind for quite a long time. When you look at all the bad things that are happening, gender-based violence, women are more affected than men. When you look at illiteracy levels, you see that women are more illiterate than men. When you look at issues of population, at this point in Malawi, we have 50.8%. You see that most of them are women. Why? Because women do not own land. Women do not own most resources. For women, even to secure loans, it's difficult because they do not have property that can be used as surety and all that. So this thing has been happening for quite some time, for a number of years. And then our programming is looking at leveling the ground to make sure that we uplift the lives of women and girls so that they should be able to compete with their male counterparts. So to answer your question, is this helping women at an equal level with men? I would say no, because we work with men and boys as promoters of women and girls' rights. Yes, we have programs like under the Climate Smart Economic Empowerment, where we work with lead farmers, and most of them are men. But we really love to see women also coming up being more from community level to national level. Would want to see a lot of our programs impacting more on women, because women have been, they have been left out for quite some time. So we need to uplift their plight and make them compete now for equality. So what we are doing now, our approach is more of equity, where we are targeting women and girls to uplift their lives, for them to be able to compete with men in the same space.
Awesome.
Yeah. Have I answered you, Tamiwa?
Tamiwa, if you're still, yeah, she's here. Okay, we'll go to the next question because our time is running out. Is there a time that you have, and this question is coming from Pelani, is there a time that you have been belittled and genuinely felt inadequate for the task at hand? If yes, how did you handle the situation or the task to perform up to the expectation?
Yeah, Pelani, I've had such experiences before. And I think for me, I told myself that not everything is happening because I'm a woman. So when such situations happen, I sit down and reflect. Why did that happen? Did I not perform? Did I not give it my best? So I've gotten to a point where I don't just see things happening because I'm a woman. I see things as a professional. So as a professional, I was expected to deliver on A, B, C, D. Did I give it my best? Did I deliver on that? And where I feel I gave it my best and I'm just not being appreciated, I'll talk, I'll speak it up. I'll make sure I communicate that I think this is unfair. I gave it my best. But in situations, no, I think I did not give it my best. I think I was in the wrong here. And what I do in such a case is to make sure that I apologize for the mistakes made and I work harder. I will do the assignment again and I'll give it my best and deliver. So it's not just about when situations happen, I just don't say this is because I'm a woman. I believe I'm not just a victim. At this point, I believe I'm an empowered woman. I'm not a victim. I'm a professional. So I make sure I see myself as such and I make other people see me as such. Over to you, Toko.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. And all in all, I want to thank you so much, Faith, for the time that you've given us. It's precious. I know that you're busy. And so I really, really appreciate you for being here. A lot of these things that we've discussed as women, they are things that affect us every day, no matter what stage of our, career we are. We get challenged by, feelings of inadequacy, people bullying us, and office harassment, and bullying and other things else. But what I wanted to mention is that all these things, sometimes they affect our career and performance in the work environment. And if career is the only thing that you're relying on in terms of money-making activity, right? Because not everyone is entrepreneurial. You have to know that these things will affect you, and if you don't tackle them, you realize that you will end up losing or not being a performer in your career, and that affects the way you're making money too, right? And the way you're rising up the ladders in your career journey. So I really, really appreciate you, Faith, for sharing. Maybe before we close, if you have any final words for us, words of encouragement, and anything that's on your mind.
I think I appreciate being invited to this conversation. I always get excited to share space with young women and girls like this. So for me, it's something huge that I appreciate a lot. And maybe just to encourage my fellow women to just rise beyond the limits. We can do more, we can be more. We have the potential. Sometimes we look down on ourselves when we shouldn't. So we all have what it takes. And just reach out to other young women where you can and also encourage them. I believe that for us who are privileged to have had the capacity, the knowledge, and the skills, it is our responsibility to also reach out to others and make sure that together we rise and we show the world that we are.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for that. I would like...
to be.
Oh, thank you so much, Faith. I just wanted to remind everyone that we are having another speaker tomorrow, and we are talking about bullying and sexual harassment. And so tell a neighbor to come on. I'm also really excited to and looking forward to tomorrow's webinar. Come on, we're having a lawyer talk to us about office bullying and how we can handle that, the policies around that, and how we can protect ourselves. And most importantly, our event, our in-person event, the International Women's Day Conference, is happening on the 15th. It's coming up so soon, and spaces are filling up really quick. Like I said, it's only 20,000 Malawi kwacha, and it's filling up so soon. We have limited spaces because we are converging at the MHub offices. So their conference facility is not as big if you've been there. I want you to secure your seat right now. When you secure your seat, when you pay for the conference, you stand a chance to win amazing things that we have. One of our donors has just donated to us an Echo Dot so to give away. So please make sure that you secure your seat. I'm looking forward. We have amazing speakers that are coming up. Follow our pages, follow our YouTube channel, because we are making announcements on our social media pages. Weinspire on Facebook, on Instagram, as well as on LinkedIn. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I really wish you all the best, and hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you so much, Miss Faith. This is really, really amazing.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.